Hello, all my bloody listeners. My name is JC Nollen, and this is Blood and Ink. Okay, so I know that there has been a little hiatus. I do apologize for that. Things have just been crazy. And, sometimes life gets in the way, and it is what it is. But we're just going to keep moving forward. To keep this episode at a normal length episode, we're going to skip the story this week. But let me tell you, you guys are in for a treat because this is probably the most unhinged episode I think we've ever recorded. The movie this week was Death of a Unicorn, and we are joined by Sally and Ashleigh. So just buckle in and get ready for this one because it's a lot of fun. And make sure you stay for the end because I'll have some bloopers at the end. But yeah, you guys enjoy, and let's just get right into it.
Hello, everybody. All right, are we ready?
Rolling.
We're rolling. Okay. This week, we are recapping the movie Death of a Unicorn. I am joined by Ashleigh Cash Money.
What?
And Sally, a.k.a. Salita, a.k.a. Sally O'Malley. What's up, Sally?
Hello.
Salita.
Oh my god.
Did you like that one?
I did, yeah. Actually, that one's a new one.
So, literally, okay, earlier I think I was having a fucking stroke.
That's fair.
Because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, like I've got to, okay, I'm going to introduce everyone, blah, 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 the podcast, this and that, right? And in my mind, I went Ashleigh and Susie. And then I said, wait a second. I said, who the fuck is Susie? I was like, never in my life, bro. I really think I was having a stroke.
I think it's because my name is an older name, so maybe you were just like, you know what, if it's not Sally, it's Susie.
It's never happened before in my life. Like, I know you. I know who you are,
That's incrable. I love that.
Anyway, we got a little distracted. Today. We were doing some puzzling, drinking some wine, some rosé, and now we're here. We've made it. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be still drinking rosé and Stella's. This is going to be an interesting recording, to say the least.
It's going to be a fun one. It's a fun movie.
I agree.
I think it's fitting.
I'm already having fun.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Death of a Unicorn, it's a 2025 movie. It is all of the genres.
Literally.
It is dark fantasy, horror, comedy, thriller, a little bit of everything. And it was directed. It was directed by Alex Sharfman. Don't know him. Never heard of him before.
Anybody? Yeah, no. I'm also really bad with names, so.
Yeah.
I have nothing left to say. It's gone.
Well, this movie did really badly in reviews.
Which is crazy. I mean, I could see it a little bit, but I don't
see it as how bad the reviews were. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes got 54%, but okay, that's Rotten Tomatoes, okay.
Yeah, with a grain of salt.
IMDb 5.9 out of 10? Crazy. And then, I don't know who Metacritic is, but fuck them. They give this movie a 51%.
I mean, I feel like that's... Well, I guess it's the lowest.
Halfway?
God.
That's like giving this movie two stars.
It really is, yeah.
I feel like it's worth more than that.
I think so.
Yeah. I feel like it started out not the best. Like, just some of the dialogue and stuff felt a little forced. Like, okay. There are flaws, but I feel like overall it was actually really entertaining.
Yeah.
I could get behind that. So, we'll just jump right into the movie, okay? Mm-hmm. Off the bat, we are introduced to our main characters, Ridley, who is an angsty teenage daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, and Elliot, her father, who is played by Paul Rudd. Why is Paul Rudd the hot guy? Can I ask that?
He's always been my hot guy.
I feel like he's always just had this, charm about him.
He just has this, goofy, but, confident... Mm-hmm. Laid back air about him.
Yeah.
And
I don't
easy
see
on
it.
the eyes. He looks friendly.
I don't see it, and I know women are always like, "Oh, Paul Rudd," and I'm like, "Really? That fucking Ant-Man?" Okay.
Yeah, Ant-Man.
So I thought you were going to say more.
So, as a child of the 80s, Clueless was one of my favorite movies.
Also, yes.
And that is when I fell in love with Paul Rudd. So, the rest is history.
All right,
next movie night is going to be Clueless. I literally
have shown you Clueless. We watched Clueless and Mean Girls double feature in the same night.
That is a valid double feature. That's a great double feature,
I've not seen Clueless.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
This is...
I hope Milo's barking at the thunder. So, we're introduced to those two characters, Ridley and Elliot. They are waiting to disembark from a plane, which is delayed, and this is where I was kind of confused. So, Elliot is a lawyer. He's being hired on retainer by this pharmaceutical giant named Mr. Odell Leopold. Mm-hmm. So he is having like this weekend getaway with Mr. Leopold to see if he's right for the position. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's like a business meeting, but it's a family business. So they bring him to their family home and they have this huge...
no, not family home. It's their
like fucking...
It's like their getaway because...
They're like wildlife reserve. They live like in this entire section of forest that they've bought as a wildlife reserve, and then they just have this massive house on it, and it's like all theirs.
Yes,
but it seems like it's like a second home, like it's like a mountain house kind of situation, but it's almost like they're bringing him in to kind of
vet
like
him
wine
almost.
And dine and kind of vet him. Yeah, I think that's a good word. Is like vet him to see if he's up for the position as their lawyer.
And it seems like this is a really high-stakes weekend for him, and he's basically super worried about securing this position because he's going to make a lot of money. But this plane is super delayed. He's kind of worried about his daughter, Ridley, again, Jenna Ortega, because she's in that angsty teenage phase. Like, you know, he's kind of worried about how she's going to be. Is she?
Yeah, she's in college. She's an art major.
Oh, you're right.
Don't ask me why I remember that, but that was one thing that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Because she goes into the art history stuff later. Mm-hmm. So she's an art history major.
She does look very young, though.
But also, Jenna Ortega is very young looking anyway. But yeah, I would say she's probably late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
I would say maybe 20 at that.
Okay. Yeah. I recall this now, her being an art major.
It's also been... How many, like 2 weeks since we watched this movie? It has
been like 2 weeks since we watched this movie. Maybe 3. So we're a little behind, but it's okay. We're figuring it out as we go. So
like I'm rewatching the movie right now.
So
literally.
They do finally get off the plane and they take this car ride through this mountainous wilderness reserve. And we've learned during this car ride that Odell is doing some sort of work with the reserve. Some sort of like giving money to the reserve to keep it safe and taken care of and all that stuff.
Well, they're like basically funding all of this research for like life-changing drugs, and like they're supposedly, you know, working for all these causes.
Yes. Now, he is the pharmaceutical owner, but I don't think that's why he has the reserve.
No, I mean...
But I think we'll get to that point here in a second.
But I'm just saying that, you know, that's like...
Yeah, and if anything, if they, like, because, you know, pharmaceutical owners don't really care about freaking wildlife. Yeah. If anything, the only reason...
Supposedly, they're like these, like, philanthropist types.
Oh my God. Know? I have a great quote from Jenna Ortega's character, Ridley, about that.
Oh, really?
I wrote it down specifically because I was like, that needs to be known by the world because that's a fucking great quote.
All right, give it, or not yet? Or
I mean, I can say it. It's basically philanthropy is reputation laundering for the oligarchy. Mm. And I wrote that down and I was like, star.
I'd wear that on a shirt.
Right? Exactly.
Or a bumper sticker.
Right?
Yeah.
So, during the ride through the mountains, we see the dynamic between Ridley and Elliot. You know, it's obvious they love each other, but again, Elliot's super nervous about meeting his possible new boss. Ridley's kind of like, whoa, why are you being like this about this, you know? And I think we also find out that Ridley's mother had died.
Yes.
Right? And during this car ride, later on, we find out she died because of cancer, right?
They kind of like hint at it. They give these little nuggets of like, you know, she's really upset about like how her dad is going against all of these things that she stands for so strongly and that her mom stood for so strongly. And she kind of like hints at the fact that her mom is no longer in the picture, and you kind of insinuate that it was her death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's never like overtly stated until later, but then,
While driving, Elliot receives a phone call from his boss, Odell, and his boss is mad. He's like, hey, where are you? You're supposed to be here. You obviously don't care about this position, which then makes Elliot start driving super fast.
Mm-hmm. And also, may I add, sneezing without a napkin or Kleenex or anything, and that was like my gross point of
he is sneezing a lot, like because he has allergies from being out there, I think is what he said.
General
what's her face is like secret vaping in the car. Ridley.
Which is funny in the whole
so
movie.
funny because you, my lovely husband, be secret vaping all the damn time.
It's not a secret.
Aw, I'm like, he wants to cuddle me. No, he's just using my shoulder nook as a shield for
in
vaping.
Public places, it's true. I do. I would like get right in Ashley's shoulder and I just hit that vape. But yeah, so he's driving super fast. Ridley's kind of freaking out, like, hey, please slow down. And he starts yelling, going off. Suddenly, they hit something. And we see it kind of come up, but, it happens so fast.
See it, come out.
Yeah.
Like a deer.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, the two get out of the car, and they see. What do they hit? Of course, it's a unicorn. So.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile,
Shocker.
I think Elliot is like, it's got to be some sort of horse or endangered animal or something like that. And Ridley's like, it's a fucking unicorn, bro. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, can we stop trying to pretend this is not what it is?
This is not some weird animal that you've just never seen. No, it's literally a fucking unicorn. Like, look at its horn. Come on now, Dad.
So, and I want to point out that there is blood in the road, but it's like, it looks like an oil slick. Like rainbow oil slick.
Mm-hmm,
and so I thought that was really cool.
That was really cool.
So the dad, he's kind of freaking out. He goes to get like a tire iron.
Because he was worried because it was suffering.
Yeah, because it wasn't, he was like, it's not all the way dead. It's still breathing, but it's going to die soon. Like,
I wrote in my notes that you had tire iron envy.
It was a really cool tire iron because remember,
that's right. It expanded.
Yeah, it was,
and it was like this weird. It was like
go
gadget, fucking tire iron. Like what?
Yeah, it was super cool.
I forgot about that.
When Elliot goes to get the tire iron, the horn starts glowing.
Well, remember Jenna Ortega? Ridley had at that point gone up to examine it a little bit closer.
Yes.
And she had gotten closer to it, and then the horn started glowing, and she touched the horn.
Right. And their eyes were like making direct contact.
Yeah,
and
she had like the
whole,
galaxy in her eyes and all that stuff, and it was like this really cool moment.
Yeah, and she had like a vision, like she was like transported to this like metaphysical place in her brain where it was like she understood the universe or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's all beautiful, and you're seeing Jenna Ortega's face, and then suddenly blood like splatters all over her face, and it is Elliot like killing the.
I jumped. It was so shocking.
It was so shocking.
It really like jars you out of this beautiful moment.
Yeah, well, and because he was, it's his daughter, and he's trying to like talk to her and be like, hey, Ridley, are you okay? Are you okay? And then she's not responding. So he just starts smashing this thing and blood splatters all over her. She's like fucking traumatized at that point.
Yeah.
And then we get the title card of the movie.
Literally. Like, bam. Okay. That's how the unicorn dies.
Yep.
Well, would you look at that?
So after the
I said it was a gruesome bludgeoning. That's how I described
That's actually very accurate.
Unicorn. And there's so much. This
made
movie,
my tummy hurt.
This movie has a lot of gruesomeness in it.
It does. It's not so much. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about the all the different genres that this movie encapsulates, but it definitely was a little fun gore.
Yeah, I agree, and I talk about that also in my final thoughts.
That's fair.
So I'll save some of what I have to say on that, but
that's fair.
After the title card, Elliot and Ridley, they actually end up taking the dead unicorn's body because Elliot's afraid that the Rangers are gonna like find him and be like, "Oh, hey, you're in trouble for fucking hitting this goddamn unicorn."
$1 million fine.
Like literally, how are they gonna know? First of all, how would they know?
Nobody's gonna know.
And also, I feel like the Rangers would be like, what the fuck is that? If they did find it, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
So they go and they meet the Leopolds at their grand estate.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Leopolds for a second. First of all, they are all assholes.
Literally.
They are rich pharmaceutical family assholes.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have Shepard, who
Total
is
douchebag.
the son of Mr. Leopold. And who is he played by? What's the dude's name?
Oh, gosh.
We're going to pause for a search. Okay, after some looking, his name is Will Poulter.
Thank you, Google.
Yep. Thank you, Google.
We are not sponsored by them. Otherwise, we would not be working
if
our
Google
jobs.
wants to sponsor us, just hit us up.
Hey.
So, Shep, the son, is exactly what you would think from a family like that.
He's literally wearing a like double-breasted but like terry cloth knee-length
Yes.
robe when he's first introduced,
that's right.
and it just is like
It's, like,
so ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that.
Just rich playboy, has everything that he could ever want. So now he's just
No, it's almost like satirical. I mean,
it
I
is.
think it's meant
I
to be.
think
Yeah, like
it
is.
absolutely
it
is
so
satirical.
over the top and yeah, just this like hilarious stylized version of like the worst of worst quality wealthy people.
Yeah.
And then we have the mother. Her name is Belinda. She does a great job at being like evil, but like I don't know, she's not so forthright with it. Like she does a good job of being like, oh, you're a bad person, but you're really good at pretending not to be a bad person, in my opinion.
So manipulative
Yes.
and conniving and like can just totally like use language to spin this total alternate world reality. Like it's like
it's pretty impressive.
Masterful gaslighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Odell. Again, Odell, he's the main guy. He's the CEO, the boss, and we see that he is sick and dying from cancer when we first meet them and everything. Other than the family, we have Griff, who is like the butler / guy that does fucking everything.
Literally everything.
Yeah. They're like calling him for everything. And it's so funny. The family says his name like multiple times through this movie and they're just like, Griff! Griff, do this! Griff, do that! I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy needs a raise.
Yeah, at one point, Shep's just like screaming into the ether, Griff! Get a towel! It's like, what? Like, he's just expected to hear you from across the
I think that's
estate.
when he was
It's
in the
wild.
hot tub.
It was, yeah.
And then other than Griff, we have Shaw, who is the security woman. I don't know. She's like their...
kind of butch lesbian, you know. It's fine.
Was she? I don't remember that. But...
Well, she gave me butch lesbian vibes. I remember that.
Okay.
But also, I feel like every security guard that's a female gives me butch lesbian vibes.
Okay, listeners, if you are a security guard who is not a butch
lesbian,
lesbian,
sorry that
let
is
us
my perception of you.
Watch us get a bunch of like emails from just butch lesbians. They're like, no, it's true.
I would feel so validated.
So yeah, they have a meeting. They sit down. They're talking about the future of Elliot, the future of the company, blah blah blah, this and that. And Ridley still has some unicorn blood on her face, and Shepard kind of points this out.
Sidebar.
Also points out her acne, which was like
yes, thank you,
mean.
Thank you. I was like, sidebar. He also is very like bullyish and being like, oh, your face, because she has acne, because she
like nervously picks her face.
Yeah. And also like, okay, it happens, like chill out.
Well, and she's supposed to be like what, like you said, 20.
Like
I mean, we all had acne.
19 something, 20, because she's in college. We knew she's in college. I don't remember if they said like, I just know that she's in college, that she's starting.
Gone to college yet, or is she like going to college?
Yes, I believe
she is gone to some college.
She said that she was majoring, and I think it was art history.
Right,
I agree.
Sure if it was like I'm going to be.
Yeah, but I think she's actively in college, majoring in art history, because Shep interrogates her about, you know, all that.
And I think Belinda even talks some shit about like, oh, art history. Oh, okay, like, you know.
No, literally, they do talk crap about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we took a little break so Sally could eat some sushi, and now we are back. So as we were leaving off, Ridley, who is an art major, that's where we left off, she has some unicorn blood on her face, and what's his name? Shepard, he's pointing out, hey, you got a little something there. Again, unicorn blood doesn't look like actual blood. It is kind of dark and a little different. So she goes to the bathroom to clean this unicorn blood off, and she realizes that her acne that she had earlier in the movie has completely healed.
It's like as she's like using like water to try to rub it off, she's rubbing over the acne, and it's like magically disappearing.
Literally.
Simultaneously, while she's in the bathroom doing that, Elliot is trying to look over paperwork that Odell is showing him and sees that when he puts on his glasses to look at the paperwork, he realizes that he no longer needs them. He actually can't see when he puts on the glasses. So this is to assume that some of the unicorn blood got into Elliot's eyes, which I think is kind of gross.
A little gross, you know? But I mean, you know.
Didn't he not? He didn't have his glasses on because they're readers, right?
Yeah, I think they're readers. He didn't have them on, but when he was handed the paperwork,
he went to put them on and realized that he like couldn't see, and then was like adjusting.
Exactly, yeah.
While this meeting is happening, and honestly, I don't think it's going very well. Elliot is super like frazzled because he hit a unicorn. He's now meeting his boss. He's just generally not doing a very good job at like being like, yes, I'm your good lawyer, you know? We cut.
Oh, he's going for the vice president of ethics and compliance. I wrote that down.
That is so ironic for this movie.
Oh, correct. Yeah. Yes. The irony is not lost.
Yes.
Yes. That is his proposed position for Elliot, is VP of ethics and compliance.
Okay. Well, while they're having their meeting, we get a cut scene to the dead unicorn that is in the like trunk,
in the trunk,
trunk of
Which
the
also,
car.
like, can we sidebar on this? Because,
Absolutely.
like, it's, like, summertime, and this carcass, supposedly, not really, is in this trunk. Can you imagine what that would smell like when you come back to your...
The whole weekend.
The whole weekend? You're just gonna have a decaying carcass in your trunk? Bro, what?
It's been, like a couple hours, maybe? Not even.
Maybe not
like
even. Maybe an hour tops that they have been there. But we get that cut scene to the unicorn. The horn starts glowing while this unicorn is dead in the car. So we're thinking, oh, okay, something's going to happen. And guess what? Something does happen because the unicorn comes back to life while in the locked and closed car. And it starts thrashing around. So everyone ends up outside.
Fucking Bronco. Yes. Bitch.
Everyone ends up outside, and the car is just, I mean...
It's a rockin'.
It's a rockin' and a rollin' in that fucking car, okay?
Yeah. Don't rock the boat. No, rock the boat.
Rock the boat, baby. And so I think one of the Leopolds is like, what the fuck is that in the car?
Probably Shep.
Yeah, and Elliot's trying to play it chill, like, oh, no, it's nothing. Meanwhile, the car is careening side to side.
Literally.
Okay?
Not careening.
It is careening.
Vocab word.
That's a great word.
And,
that's one of those 25-cent words, you know what I mean?
Oh,
hell yeah.
I'll take that quarter, thank you.
That was on the SAT.
The unicorn ends up breaking one of the windows, and it shows its full self, like, hey, I'm a fucking unicorn.
A majestic motherfucker.
A majestic motherfucker. And the unicorn is promptly shot in the head by Shaw. Again, Shaw is the security detail for the Leopolds.
AKA Butch Lesbian.
I was gutted by that.
I was like, oh man, he's not dead. Cool. And then boom, dead. Again.
So many times.
For the second time in the movie. Let's count the unicorn deaths, let's be real.
Yeah. Well, if you count all the unicorn deaths, there is 6.38 deaths per minute in this movie, or something like that.
Oh.
No, not per minute.
What? I was like, we're not watching the Chainsaw Massacre.
No.
What?
What are the statistics?
Let me rephrase.
Where do you get your facts, sir?
I'm so concerned.
Let me rephrase. Hold on, let me see.
Fucking fake news over here.
One death every 6.38 minutes, if you include all the unicorn deaths. That's what I meant to say.
You mean deaths by a unicorn or deaths of a unicorn?
Just the average deaths throughout the movie. Oh, if you include the unicorn's deaths. There is one death every 6.38 minutes. That's what I meant to say.
Okay, and how many minutes is the movie?
That's incredible.
So how many total deaths?
I don't have my phone, so
I don't have that information.
I need information.
So, moving forward here, as Ashleigh looks up how long the movie is. Let's see, where do we leave up?
The unicorn is shot in the head. Point blank, basically, almost.
At this point, everybody's standing outside, and they're like, they don't know how to react. The Leopolds seemed kind of shocked, but not in the way that we would expect. They weren't like, oh my god, what the fuck? They were just like, wow, yes. And at this point, Ridley kind of tells the Leopolds, hey, this is a fucking unicorn. It has healing properties. It healed my facial acne. And the Leopolds decide that the family is going to take the animal to study it for medicinal effects. Sidebar here. This is where I first understood, okay, this is the whole reason that the Leopolds have this reserve, right? Yeah. They are taking this unicorn they are paying towards this reserve in hopes to find the unicorn because Odell is sick.
This is a treasure hunt.
Yes, that is why they are giving money to the reserve. That's why they're doing all this work. They hoped to find the unicorns here because, like I said, the way that they acted when they were like, oh, hey, that's a unicorn, they almost seemed excited and at the same time, like
they were holding back on that excitement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say that,
very calculating.
he might be aware of its existence and seems to know about at least the lore of the unicorns on this, this piece of property.
Agreed. So that night, Ridley tells Elliot, her father, about her fear about the Odells. She doesn't trust them. She doesn't think that they should have the unicorn. She's worried about how they're going to go about everything. And Elliot starts being an asshole to Ridley. He basically reprimands her saying, now, this is kind of almost quotes. He says, not to make everything about her and the dead horse. Mm-hmm. Now, I do understand where Elliot's coming from because, okay, this is his big break. This is how he's going to provide.
He's doing it all for her, for them.
But I feel like he's getting lost in that.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
where, he's doing a little bit too much, basically.
Yes.
That's where I get to. I'm like, he's doing it for the right reasons, but he's getting lost in those reasons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he's doing it for the right reasons for the wrong people.
Yeah, but it's like he's kind of, he's framing it in a way that, like, he believes that he's doing it for X, Y, and Z, but ultimately, it's really, he's gotten, very caught up in that.
Yeah. He, throughout the movie, I feel like he gets more and more caught up in the, not oligarchy, but, the elitist part of it.
Well, and he kind of wants to be a part of that,
It is, this yearning to be a part of that part of your world.
Well, it's like you're creating a narrative to kind of spin your own agenda.
Exactly.
And you say the same thing over and over. You believe it yourself,
this huge carrot for this super successful pharmaceutical company. And he's going to be the VP of ethics and compliance.
Make all this money.
Mm-hmm. So, he has this huge carrot being dangled in front of him. And he's like, oh my gosh, money. And that's all he can think of outside of. And this is where the irony of this position comes in, is the fact that all he can think of is, this is going to be great for us because we'll be financially set and all this stuff. But, ethically, this whole movie is just fucked.
Yes.
But Ridley already sees through all this bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
She is trying to tell him, no, I saw, she's trying to explain the experience she had with the unicorn and be like, no, there is, more than meets the eye here. Mm-hmm. And she's already kind of got the number of this family and sees through their BS. But he is absolutely shutting her down left and right and kind of just chalking it up to her being a contrary, teenager,
Although maybe not teenager.
But young adult. Yeah.
Yes. Jinx.
So, it's really frustrating though, because she's trying, but because they already had so much just angst and there wasn't like a trusting, solid communication for them. Like, he's just absolutely closed off to anything she has to say.
So after their little argument, Elliot goes outside and Shep is in the hot tub. They begin to talk, and this is where we hear our first kind of weird noises from the wilderness.
Oh, but sidebar.
The
first of all the multiples of many. I wrote down here that there's a unicorn in the background of a picture. And
I don't even know if I noticed that.
Yeah, they did. You like the camera kind of pans past it at one point, and you notice it. And like it's like a family portrait or something, it's like, but it's kind of...
Yeah, and so it's kind of just hanging out in the background, and I wrote down, like, family knows about unicorns, and Odell is dying. Are they trying to harvest the unicorn blood?
Yes.
And now we continue. Literally.
So yeah, Elliot goes outside. Shep is out there in a hot tub. It's nighttime. He's just hanging out. They talk, and they begin to hear these weird noises. Meanwhile, Ridley stays inside, and she starts to research some of the history of unicorns. And somewhere in here, she discovers, like Sally is saying, I think from seeing that picture, that the Leopolds already knew about unicorns somehow. And this is where we get a little history lesson on unicorns.
From the unicorn tapestries, right?
All of the tapestries from the... I wrote all of this down. I was so fascinated. I was enthralled by this because I love weird shit like this. Because they're from the 15th century. Mm-hmm. And they have to do with a pure-hearted maiden that is enthralled by that's the only thing that the unicorns trust. But the unicorn is killed and taken into captivity by the people who are trying to use it for their own purposes. And then it becomes a vengeful beast. That's what I wrote down.
What I wrote down, unicorns have been around since maiden times. So, and ferocious beasts that men have tried to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing.
Yeah, and they forced them to breed because they knew of the powers of the blood and everything.
So later that night, Ridley goes to sleep, but she's awoken by scientists, and they begin testing her father, and kind of doing some experiments on the unicorn itself. Afterwards,
but she has a dream from the point of view of the unicorn.
She does. We do see a POV from some sort of unicorn, which we do not know yet, and it's like running
you getting
through.
To that point?
No,
Am I jumping ahead?
No, I think it's right in there. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, there's like a unicorn running through the forest somewhere, and that's the POV. It's almost like she's seeing through that unicorn's eyes.
I said nightmares about the cave. Like she's being called there, seeing from this unicorn's point of view, and then like it transitions from that to her being examined. And,
Okay. I was like, why do I have this written down?
The group does receive a presentation by the scientists and doctors on the healing properties that they discovered within the unicorns and kind of what's going on. They also find that the horn of the unicorn is actually an organ, and that the horn on this unicorn that they have is still giving off radiation.
Electromagnetic radiation.
Yes, and the horn is actually more powerful than the blood in regards to all of the healing processes that it has the ability to do. So, the science team decides they're going to use the unicorn treatment on Odell.
Ah, yes. Because they take the unicorn that was in the trunk that they shot, and they start...
Yeah, they're like
pulling,
grating off little shavings of unicorn horn and testing all the different components and
the blood, and they put him up to an IV bag, right?
Yes.
And it's
like a transfusion.
Yeah, it's basically a transfusion with saline of the unicorn blood.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what happened.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
But it's crazy because while you're sort of going through this montage of them doing all of this, you're also kind of hearing the family sort of BS and like spin this whole concept to like justify why they're doing it, and with like again just this
like, think about all the people this will help, and
right, but really, like they're just absolute.
It's the
so crooked.
Mirrors,
it's so fucking crooked.
Yeah.
And
and I think within this same night, Elliot is still being kind of a dismissive dick to Ridley to the point where she
is desperately trying to find a moment with her dad. Like,
literally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And desperately telling him, like, hey, these are not people to be trusted, you know? And he's not listening. So because she's so upset with him, she goes outside to get some fresh air and some vape. And she actually sees scratches in the tree trunk surrounding the home and decides to go back inside because she's kind of freaked out.
Also, because at one point we had to pause the movie for a dog potty break. So I literally wrote here, pause for dog potty break. Let's write down some theories.
All right, so Sally theories, here we go.
You suggested this idea to yourself in writing.
I was like, oh, pause for dog potty break. I'm literally reading word for word. Theory regarding the vengeance of unicorn. First, the girl who shot the unicorn, then family and researchers. Oh, I think I was trying to figure out who was going to die first. This is where my thought process was. I was like, what did I write? I was making a theory on who was going to die.
Okay.
Because we were talking about that at that point. I said the Odells are likely first, and then the son, and I said Violet, and I agree on that one. Because
really?
Violet was really anti-Shep, which I agree.
Oh, Shep.
She was
so
like,
easy to hate.
She was
so
like,
easy to hate.
To heck with this guy. I was like,
Violet's
I agree with you, Violet.
Character.
You know, I appreciate that. And then Ripley will protect her dad from being killed. That was my theory at that dog potty break moment.
See, I did not expect the Odells to be first because they are like too main to the storyline.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But it's also A24 and they don't give a shit.
That's true.
They just do what they want. Which is why I love them.
Do what I want.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ridley finds those scratches outside. She goes back inside. We kind of cut scene to the next day where we see Odell. He comes out of his room and he's completely cured of his cancer. He's feeling good, and the scientists begin testing him, testing his blood, seeing what exactly is going on. And they discover that, yes, the unicorn blood, the unicorn can cure cancer.
Like all of the cells are like regenerated and totally healthy cells now.
But they cannot reproduce the protein strands that are present
so there's a
from the
finite
unicorn.
amount.
Yes, and I even wrote here they have a very scarce supply, which doesn't make Odell Leopold nervous or anything. It gets them excited because they're like, people will pay immense amounts for what we have
now. It's all
now.
about supply and demand. Yay, capitalism.
And then it's so gross because then they're all like on their cell phones, like talking to their list of wealthy contacts, like trying to freaking auction this shit off to the highest bidder, you know?
Yeah, and I wrote down here they were negotiating by drinking mixed cocktails with the unicorn blood.
Yeah.
Like literally just like imbibing this. It is like pure, unadulterated, just greed.
Yeah,
just dripping greed.
Yeah, they immediately start making those sales calls. All three of them, they're on different phone calls. It almost gives you like Wolf of Wall Street vibes. Like they're just in here making calls. Yes. They're drinking these cocktails
like they're
in celebration.
The markets and the stock.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yes. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's very true.
And at this point, Ridley kind of stops everyone and she tells them, hey, you shouldn't be misusing the unicorn. But she's very quickly dismissed. And I think Belinda says some like really rude shit to Ridley here.
About her being like an art history major. I think there's like some backhanded thing. But, I'm sure. Sorry, I just hit the table. But yeah, it's like, because Ridley and the scientists, meanwhile, while all of that's happening and they're making the calls, they're figuring out like the different angles here and what actually would happen if this were to be used in this way. And they have already like followed the tale of, you know, the story that those unicorn tapestries tell.
Yeah.
And so they know that then there's like, this fucking vengeance from the unicorns if these things are used in the wrong way, or, you know, so it's like, shit's hitting the fan.
Shit's hitting the fan. After all this kind of craziness goes on, we see later on in the night, and it's decided that the science team is going to transport the dead unicorn out to whatever pharmaceutical laboratory that they work in so they can do more studies, they can harvest more things from them. And now
I want the listeners to imagine, like, this was giving E.T. to me. You know, at the end of E.T.,
oh my God,
where they have all the...
I didn't clock that before, but
right? Okay.
Totally.
Yes, it is 100%. That's wild. I didn't think about that.
To transport the unicorn out, they have this whole, like, white enclosed plastic.
Yeah, it is like a plastic tunnel.
Yes.
To the car.
Yeah.
Basically just like a funnel, like a plastic funnel.
And so if you've seen the end of E.T. where they have that kind of setup right there at the end, that's exactly what's happening in this movie as they're transporting the dead unicorn out. Which, by the way, I wrote down they vacuum sealed it. They vacuum sealed the body.
Sous vide unicorn.
Literally, vacuum seal body for transport.
So yeah, the science team, they're trying to transport this unicorn, and they begin to hear some ominous sounds from outside. And we get a pan up of the sky. We see that the sky looks crazy, kind of like a Milky Way spiral of lights out there.
Like northern lights almost, like the various kind of like, the way the like very ethereal gas-ish.
Yeah.
And suddenly, as the lead scientist, he's standing there with, he's a male scientist, I don't remember his name, he's standing there with another female scientist, and he's like, hey, what is that? And then suddenly, he is impaled by this huge fucking horn. I mean, it just sticks right out of his, like, stomach/chest area. And this thing looks crazy. The horn's then removed from the center of him, and we kind of
gutted, like all of his.
Literally,
we see his entrails.
Yeah,
literally, it's
they spill out.
And that unicorn is like, that's like a spiky.
That thing is like a freaking mammoth, and it looks like Game of Thrones, like winter is coming, fucking unicorn. Okay.
Yes.
So,
oh my God, it was wild.
What we come to realize is that a gigantic pair of these dark unicorns start attacking the scientists. They start attacking the security crew, and a shootout ensues between basically everybody at the house and these two unicorns. So what do we know now? Hey, these unicorns are way bigger than the unicorn he hit. So that's obviously a baby unicorn. Mm-hmm. And these are most likely the unicorn's parents. They're fucking pissed.
Mama and Papa came, and they are not fucking playing. They are like, give me my baby back.
Literally.
Which I'm here for it. It's super cool. This whole scene is really cool. The unicorns running around just fucking shit up. People shooting at them. Ridley's out there. She runs. Elliot's kind of following her. Ridley ends up hiding underneath their car. Mm-hmm. And we get a really cool kill here where one of the security details kind of falls next to the car, and one of the unicorns comes over and just crushes this man's skull in.
That was a wild scene.
Like a fucking
apple. It was slow.
Literally,
the
it was just like,
did it slow too.
It was so uncomfy.
Like, it was
because
you see the fear in his. Oh my God, yeah. Anyway,
so Ridley comes out from underneath the car. Her and Elliot are kind of working their way around the car as the unicorn's working its way around the car to kind of stay away.
Kind of acting like a dad now.
I mean, kind of at the moment, but he still has a long way to go. Now, the unicorn, tell me if I'm wrong, the unicorn finds Ridley here at this point and actually offers Ridley its horn, just like the baby unicorn did. And Ridley goes to touch it, but suddenly, the security details start shooting at the unicorn. Yeah. The unicorn does get shot, and it starts running away. So that's as far as that whole kill sequence goes. Yeah. The baby unicorn's brought back inside, and the Leopolds end up holding a meeting where Odell is like, hey, there's more unicorns out there. That means more money, more opportunity. Let's go fucking find them. And so he sets up a hunting party and basically forces Elliot to come along.
Literally forces him to come along. He did not look like he wanted to go at all.
Elliot didn't want
by that time, because literally the very tale that Ridley was trying to get everyone to listen to is freaking happening. Mm-hmm. And so at this point, Elliot's like, oh,
shit. I should have listened to my daughter.
Yeah, I should have listened to my daughter. And now I want to get the fuck out of here. Like, this is no longer what I thought it was.
But also, Odell kind of like blackmails Elliot and is like, well, if you don't want the job, then, I thought you were going to be loyal to the family and this and that. So Elliot feels like, well, fuck, I need to do this if I want to still make that money. And
at this point, it's like survival, I mean, I think he's just going to say yes to whatever he has to say yes to try to,
Well, he's also trying to impress his new bosses. So
at that point, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to get the fuck out.
No, I didn't get the vibe that he was still trying to impress them. I got the vibe at that point he was trying to avoid conflict and was just basically like, I'm just going to have to do whatever I have to do.
Yeah, he is one of those cannot stand up for himself, avoid conflicts kind of people.
I'm going to disagree with you, Ashleigh. I'm with Sally on this. I think that he was still trying to get the money, still trying to get the job, didn't want to lose the opportunity.
At that point? Okay.
Yep. That's what I was still getting.
He's also non-confrontational, so...
Oh, also, yes.
That also
it very well may have still been at that point, because like Sally said, it's been a few weeks, so I am like struggling with the timing of my thoughts and where we are in the film.
So this is where I wrote down, at this point, where they come back into the house and they've brought the baby unicorn back, the whole family is eating these super rare, unicorn steaks.
Yeah, this is when I have it written down, too.
Okay. And it's just disgusting. It's like literally not even cooked. As they're like knifing into them, it's like the unicorn oil slick blood is getting all over the place. It's super disgusting.
So
I wrote down medium rare unicorn steak drenched in unicorn blood.
But see, I thought, and maybe it wasn't obvious at the time, but I thought when there was the whole montage of like Odell being dosed up like in every which way, and he's like IV'd, he's eating, you see him eating meat at one point, and I assumed that was unicorn steak.
Maybe, probably. I might have just missed that. So they get together.
That's fair. I missed that as well.
Yeah. They get together a hunting team, and that team leaves. Mm-hmm. I think still at the house we have Shepard, Belinda, and Ridley. Now, at this point, Shepard steals a vial of unicorn horn dust, and he starts snorting it. He starts snorting the dust.
God.
And this
looked like a good time.
This man gets high as shit. His eyes kind of turn into, like, this Milky Way universe. And
like what Ripley's did when she touched the horn.
Yep. And it seems like whenever he snorts the unicorn horns, he gets like these visions, these like all of a sudden he kind of knows things. And we see that a little bit later on in the movie where he'll snort some unicorn dust and just suddenly know something about the unicorns, you know?
Mm-hmm. Also, I was laughing at myself because I wrote down here, I said, Ashleigh, Paul Rudd is her pass.
Which is funny because we brought that up in the beginning of the movie.
We did, but I wrote it down here in my notes. And I was like chuckling to myself. I had to share that. Anyway.
So because Shepard is enjoying the unicorn horn so much, he orders the scientist lady, the one who's not dead and impaled.
Literally.
He orders her to saw off the unicorn horn. And it's pretty interesting. Once the lady actually finishes the saw, you see Ridley in the other room, and she kind of is injured by the unicorn's horn being sawed off.
Yeah. Because she has that connection,
Yeah, yeah. She's connected to the unicorn. She is the maiden of pure heart or whatnot.
Yes.
And somewhere in all of here, we discover that with the power of the horn, the unicorn actually would not die. It would continue to heal itself, and it would come back to life. Now that the horn is sawed off, that can't happen. I don't remember exactly how we figured that out.
I think that comes up later as more things progress, and Ridley starts telling more of her research.
Okay.
It's one of those things that we kind of just get information about as it progresses, because we're now progressing through these tapestries.
Yeah.
More or less.
Mm-hmm. So we go back to the hunting party. They are outside there in the wilderness. Now, again, this unicorn that they're hunting is the one that they believe is shot. So they believe that this unicorn is injured. So they're like, oh, this is going to be an easy find.
So they do find that adult unicorn out in the woods, and it's almost like the adult unicorn's playing a trick on them. It's like a trap.
Yeah,
it is trapping them. It's acting like it's injured as they're walking up to them. So Ridley realizes at this point, from some of her tapestry kind of stuff and learning that no, the unicorns heal themselves, she realizes that, hey, this unicorn that was shot is going to heal itself and it's going to kill all those motherfuckers out there. Mm-hmm. So she starts texting and calling her dad, but there's no phone service. Yeah, they have no phone service because, they're out in a wilderness reserve. So the group starts walking up to the unicorn, and the adult unicorn does attack the group. It just starts fucking people up. I think here Shaw is the first person that is killed.
Yes. Yep.
So Shaw is killed. If there's any other security detail, they're all fucking killed. And Elliot and Odell are able to escape. They run back to the house. Mm-hmm. Now,
they're the only two that escape.
They're the only two.
From the party.
Now, the way that the house is set up, there are these large gates, that close to kind of let cars in and out. So Odell and Elliot are able to get within those gates. But the unicorns are also able to get within those gates before they can close. And what I think Odell, he's like trying to commune with the unicorns, and it seems like the unicorn's gonna let him touch them at one point. Its horn starts like glowing and it kneels its head, and Odell goes up to the unicorn. But again, this was just a trick laid in by the unicorn, and the unicorn takes its horn and shoves it right through Odell's fucking head.
Like just literally full body, like
oh my
god, of the like a fucking shish kebab, like just skewered. Yeah,
it was awesome.
So at that point, Elliot escapes back into the house.
I do really like the kills in this movie.
The kills in this movie are freaking awesome. They're so gory and so like in your face. It's not what I expected, that's for sure. So at this point, Elliot runs back into the house. Odell has been killed. Okay. They're inside the house. Belinda, Shep, Ridley, they're all everyone's freaking out at this point, right? And they're trying to think of what to do next when suddenly the power goes out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the unicorns, they're able to
for the second time. Yeah,
they're like zapping shit.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of when you could kind of tell that the unicorns were coming.
Well, yeah, and this time, I mean, the lights are out, the power is cut. Mm-hmm. The unicorns have cut the power. Very smart animals.
Yeah, but you can tell these unicorns are like
they're smart.
Like, they're like a trained team, man.
They're a force of nature.
Well,
they are. They're like a SWAT team.
They've got like telepathy.
Osama bin Laden would have had no fight against them.
They just be looking at each other and they don't say nothing. But what?
She said, Osama bin Laden ain't got nothing on these unicorns.
Oh my goodness, Susie!
I was thinking of the SEAL Team 6.
No, it works. They should have gotten these fucking unicorns. They would have found Osama day one. Done. Boom.
Yeah, they would have had... Yeah.
But...
Note to, the Orange Cheeto in office. Just
Boo.
Kind of find some unicorns.
No, he doesn't deserve that shit.
He'd be over in Africa looking for them shits.
Okay? Oh my god.
I hear they have the best unicorns out here.
We just went way. I'm so sorry that I just derailed us off the fucking cliff. Off the cliff.
And this is our drinking episode. Okay.
This is, yes.
So, clink. So at this point, the family and Elliot and Ridley, they decide they're going to try to make a run for it via car, obviously, because they're going to make a run to their car.
Literally. You know that noise?
Yeah.
They're like...
One more time.
It's like...
Yeah, just like that.
Yes, just like that.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking about. It's just awesome. So, they're going to make a run for it via car, but with the power out and those large gates closed, they won't be able to open them.
Oh, right, because everything's electronic.
Everything's electronic.
Welcome to the new
world.
world.
Wave their unicorn wand at it.
And so at this point, I think Shepherd or Belinda.
No, Belinda, because I wrote down that the wife voluntells Griff to sacrifice his life, and she doesn't even know him.
Yeah, she basically tells Griff, all right, Griff, well, you're the one who knows how to work the gates the best by hand, so you should go out there and do it. And Griff is like, no, I'm good, and is basically kind of forced to do that. And simultaneously, I believe Ridley here is like, listen, the unicorns are here, they want their fucking baby, we need to give them their baby back.
I've been telling you guys through the whole fucking movie.
Yes.
Give them their fucking child back.
And so, to my surprise, they do agree to try to send the baby back out to the parent unicorns. And we do have one scientist left. She is the lady scientist. I do not have her name. I just call her Lady Scientist Doctor.
That's fair.
Okay. So they decide that it is best that the lady scientist doctor will be the one to return the baby unicorn body back to the parents. Now, my question here is, like, did they harvest already what they wanted? Did they get enough? Or at this point, do they not give a fuck?
Wheeling that shit out on a stretcher.
They were, yes,
like
literally.
On a hospital table thing.
Literally.
Okay.
But they did saw off the horn.
They sawed off the horn. It's missing a horn.
Yeah.
And we know that they've, taken some stakes. Now, to what point, they've harvested the blood, or it's been regenerated, or whatever. I don't know how much blood they drew, but anyway, you kind of get the feeling like they're like, okay, well, we've gotten what we needed because we got what we wanted out of it. So, I guess.
I mean, can we also just talk about, like, Belinda and Shepherd just saw, like, their father and husband die
10 minutes ago.
10 minutes ago. So I feel like at this point they are like, ooh, let's just get rid of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean,
literally.
At this point, they just want to live.
So Griff goes out to open up the gates by hand, and simultaneously this lady scientist doctor goes and brings the unicorn body out to the parents. The adult unicorns find the baby, but again, it is still missing its horn. And the science lady, she goes and she drops off the body and she runs. Mm-hmm. But as she's running, she actually drops a vial of horn dust. Yeah. And in her greediness, she cannot let go of it. She runs back, picks up the vial of horn dust. And as she's trying to run back to the house, the adult unicorns basically just fucking rip this scientist apart.
Ragdoll that bitch.
Like,
literally.
She's thrown up in the air.
One on each side, they just rip her in half. And
it is a cool fucking kill.
It is a wild kill.
It is
It rivals.
Spoiler alert. That might be my favorite
kill. Not yet. But anyway, she's ripped apart by these freaking unicorns. It's a super awesome kill, super gory, very fun. Now Griff, who's working on opening the gate, he sees this and he opens the gate just enough to get himself out, and he's like, fuck all this shit, I'm out. And he just leaves, man. And I'm with Griff 110%.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, fuck these people, they don't give a shit about you, get out, you know?
Literally.
So, somehow after all of this happens, the adult unicorns make it into the house. And this is where shit gets real crazy, okay? They are like chasing the last of the Leopolds around. The Leopolds are trying to hide from them. Meanwhile, Elliot and Ridley, they go hiding. And I will say this gives me Jurassic Park vibes. I get a lot of Jurassic Park vibes here.
Okay.
Because they're hiding. It's giving me, like, you remember when the young girl in Jurassic Park is hiding in, like, I don't know, was it like a kitchen or a laboratory? Yeah, it was a laboratory,
like
metal tables.
Metal tables.
And
like the classic raptor nail click.
Exactly,
and the raptors are making those weird noises and they're kind of searching. That's exactly what's happening here in this scene.
I would even say it might be like intentionally like
I did not even think about this.
I feel like they took quite a bit from Jurassic Park here. I'm not gonna lie.
That's wild. I never made that association.
I told, as soon as I saw, and I even got that a little bit in the beginning too, when they were just initially moving that body out.
That's fair.
Because some of the noises that the adult unicorn makes give me Jurassic Park. And just some of that, like the way the unicorns are searching and kind of sniffing out the people as they're like kind of walking around walls and hiding behind things. Definitely giving me some Jurassic Park vibes, but
and very cunning.
Yes.
Because the raptors in Jurassic Park are very smart.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Now I'm going to have to
like a tactical
look at those two scenes. Not a tactical team. Let's not go back on that rabbit hole. But I'm going to have to look at that scene with the raptors and see if the noises match, because that would be very interesting to see.
I think they do. But anyway. Here, Elliot and Ridley are, like I said, they're hiding in a room, and Ridley's confused. She's like, I don't understand. We gave the body back. Why the hell are they still here? That should be enough for them, blah, blah, blah. And we find out Elliot actually took the baby's horn because he was kind of like, well, I want fucking something. I'm going to come out of here with nothing, obviously, because Odell's dead. And I think maybe realized that...
He was trying to protect them.
Yeah, and I think he's realized at this point, like, hey, I've been used here. You know what I mean? So I'm taking what I can to take care of myself.
Yeah, like, even if everything had gone exactly as he had imagined in the one sense, as in not running into a unicorn and, so on and so forth. Right. Like, he still would have been taken advantage of. He never would have actually gotten any piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Exactly.
So, we make that discovery. Meanwhile, downstairs, the unicorns, they do end up killing and eating Belinda. It was actually a really fun kill again.
On the pool table. I remember the scene so vividly. Yep. It was wild.
And so one of the unicorn grabs Belinda. They're like throwing her around at first, like almost kind of playing with her. And it's super fun, super cool. They throw her on the pool table. And one of the unicorns starts just ripping Belinda's entrails out again.
But also I wrote down that the mom gets killed through the stone wall. She got stabbed through the stone wall.
Oh, yes. Like, was it a stone wall or a bookcase?
No, it was like a stone wall.
Yeah, so the horn comes
being
through.
Holy shit. Them bitches are strong.
So, yeah, I think the horn comes through the stone wall, penetrates her, and then the unicorn comes around and they start throwing her around and all that.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile,
then they, like, eat out her organs on the pool table. It was very strange.
Meanwhile, while that's happening, Shepard is on, like, this loft. He sees what's going on with his mom. He sees that his mom's being eaten, and he actually has a bow and arrow. He has the opportunity to shoot this unicorn with a bow and arrow. Now, correct me, was the bow and arrow... It wasn't flaming, right?
No, I think it was.
It was, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it was a flaming bow and arrow.
Because there's an oxygen tank.
Okay.
Because his dad was on oxygen.
Okay.
So the oxygen tank is sitting there. He has a crossbow. He ignites the arrow. And you can see kind of like his mom and him, he and his mom lock eyes.
She sees that he is there and could.
And she's still conscious, even though her literal, like, large and her small intestine is being eaten out of her body.
And heart
literally.
Stopped yet.
Yeah. Somehow she's still alive. The magic of movies, am I right? So she locks eyes with him, and he like puts her out of her misery almost. That's the way I saw it.
Well, no,
and also trying
I thought
to.
He decided not to.
He decided not to. He didn't shoot the bow and arrow.
He could have,
and the reason why is greed, because he
still wanted those unicorns.
First of all, now at this point he's like addicted to the unicorn horn dust.
Oh, I misunderstood my notes on this part.
Yeah, he's addicted to the unicorn horn dust.
Yeah, he was at one point smoking it like
he's
meth.
Smoking it. Yeah. He's snorting it. This man is just high on dust the whole time. And then also,
is that what we're calling it? Is that the street
high
name?
on dust? Yes,
on that dust.
Yes.
And he's thinking.
That's hilarious.
What Shep is thinking is, hey, we've got two of them. They're different sexes. We can put them in a farm and breed them and actually have a reoccurring supply of this medicinal property.
Just like the tapestries.
Yep, and instead of saving his own fucking mom out of greed, he lets her die to try to keep the unicorns.
Yeah.
So, after all that happens, Shep ends up catching Ridley. And he decides to use her as bait to bring out the adult unicorns because after snorting some unicorn dust, he realized, hey, she is the pure-hearted maiden that can make these animals docile.
Yes.
And so he goes outside to try to lure these unicorns out. By this time, it's daytime. It's like morning. It's daytime.
It is.
They've been through the whole night doing all of this shit. And just as he expected, the two unicorns, the adult unicorns, come up to Ridley and they start sniffing her. And yeah, they just lay down like right on Ridley's lap. They become very docile and like respectful and basically kind of like just fall asleep on her.
Like immediately like, tame.
They literally start cuddling Ridley. That's what I saw.
Which is super cute. Yeah, Ridley's being held at like arrow point, I guess you could say. And Shepard begins tying up the unicorns.
Like hog tying.
Yes. Like I said, he wants to create... I don't know what that was. Where did that come from?
My inner farm girl.
Okay.
What?
Okay, so Shep is tying them up, and Elliot is still around. I think everyone forgot about the father, Elliot.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so...
I think he kind of gets lost in the ether, even though he has the fucking unicorn horn in his hand.
Which I'm like, where were you when Ridley, like, got captured? I don't understand.
I don't know. I have so many questions about him anyway, but...
So Elliot sneaks up behind Shep with the unicorn horn in hand, and he stabs Shepard with the unicorn horn.
Yes.
In return, Shepard stabs Elliot with an arrow.
Yes.
They're both stabbed. But one of the unicorns, I think it's Mama Unicorn, she kind of sees what happens and sees what Shep just did. And Shep was probably going to die anyway because he was just stabbed. But he was kicked by Mama Unicorn and goes flying through the air.
Got yeeted. It was great.
He got kicked in the face, his body goes tumbling through the air, and we get a really cool shot of his body falling in front of the camera, and he's like fucking dead.
Yeah.
Now, Elliot is also dying. He was just stabbed with an arrow. So Ridley goes up to her father, she's crying, and she describes her this universal vision she received when she touches the horn, and she's describing this to her father as he dies. The unicorns see that Ridley is mourning her father, and I guess they decide to help her because she is the pure of heart maiden. And so together, they connect their horns. They kind of like touch their horns. The horns start glowing. They're glowing over her father's body as well as the dead baby unicorn. And this kind of magical connection reconnects the baby's horn and revives both Elliot and the unicorn baby.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was about to say that, like, while this is happening, Elliot is having, like, that same kind of, like, multiversal type.
Not yet. Elliot's revived by the unicorns, and when he's revived, he instinctually, like, quickly, like, jumps up and grabs the horns.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
And once he jumps up and grabs the horns, that's when he starts having the same visions that,
Ridley,
I did not write that down, so I forgot about that part.
So yeah, he has those visions, and afterwards, it's kind of like this sweet moment happening. The baby is back alive. It's kind of just getting up like...
The families are whole again. Yay!
And the adult unicorns that were very dark in color are now all white. Almost like they're good now. Anymore. Yeah, they're like, hey, we're all chill. We got our baby back. That's all I give a fuck about, you know?
Yeah, because we never see them before, but wasn't the baby white?
The baby was white, yes.
Okay, so theoretically, they are white when they're just living peacefully in their, in their habitat. And then once something happens that triggers their revenge, vengeance is when they turn black.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then once they appease their vengeance is when they come back to being pure white.
Yeah.
So after all of this happens, the unicorns, they go off on their merry way, and we're thinking, oh, what a happy little ending. But then Griff returns. Griff comes back, and he comes back with the police. Because, right. What the fuck? Of course you're going to come back with the police.
Yes.
And so, everybody in the house is dead, and there's no unicorns there. And so Elliot and Ridley are promptly arrested.
They are, yes, because they're literally the only ones that are left alive. Mm-hmm. So obviously they have something to do with it.
And Shep is sitting there dead and stabbed, so it's not a good look on them.
No.
Yeah. But they don't care what it looks like because they're just so filled with relief, and they are so connected now because they've both seen and experienced
they're trauma bonded.
Yeah. I mean, there are all kinds of things, but they're sitting in the back of that cop car just having this very sweet moment and couldn't care about anything happening in the world around them.
Yeah, so the cops do arrest Ridley and Elliot. They're put in the back of the police car, and the police car starts driving out of the nature preserve. As they're driving down the road, though, the family of unicorns starts running next to the car. Mm-hmm. Even the cop sees this and is like, what the fuck? And Elliot and Ridley are looking at the unicorns, and through whatever sort of telepathic communication they now have with the unicorns.
Yeah, because they've all touched the horns.
They're all
connected.
That sounds... Anyway. So, they're connected, and they're looking at the unicorns, and they're like, okay, I know what to do. So they start preparing for impact.
Yes, they do.
And the unicorn's running next to the car. All of a sudden, they ram the car off the road, and that's where we end our movie. That is the end of Death of a Unicorn.
Did you forget the name for a second?
I almost said Death by Unicorn. So, yes.
That's also fair. Also an accurate description of this movie.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so... Fun.
We did it. We made it.
We made it through. Good.
What a whirlwind.
What a heavy freaking sigh of relief.
We have one listener still listening, and it's B. Hi, B.
Hi, B. We love you.
Literally going, hi. She's sewing in her studio.
I was just saying she's sewing in her studio. She's like, oh my God, it's me.
And now she's probably like, oh my God, they're saying everything I'm actually doing.
B, you need to text me.
Oh my God.
All right, so...
Okay, I can go into my final thoughts if you want.
Sure, let's go.
Or do we want to,
You want to do favorite kill or final thoughts first? Deep sigh by Sally.
That was a heavy sigh. I don't know. What's first on yours?
First favorite on mine is favorite kill, but I can go into final thoughts first.
Oh, no, I can do favorite kill. Okay.
All right, so favorite kill. Does anybody want to start, or I can start?
You can start. I have to collect my thoughts a little bit.
Okay, so there are a ton of kills in this movie. There's a lot of kills.
As we already mentioned, one per every 6.38 minutes.
Yes, that is including the multiple unicorn kills, though. But I do have 3 favorite kills that come to mind.
3?
But I am gonna choose one. But
okay.
But out of the 3. I think both of the Dr. Scientist people, great kills. Both the man and the woman.
That's fair.
Great kills. Mm-hmm. Yeah. As well as Belinda, I really enjoyed her kill.
Yes.
But I think my favorite was the lady Dr. Scientist. Because the way that they ripped her body apart is the unison of both unicorns pulling her body and ripping her apart, and then I think even some blood splattered towards the camera and stuff.
I was like,
this is a cool fucking kill. So I do choose that one as my favorite, but it was really hard because the male doctor with his entrails falling out and you seeing that, and then Belinda who sucks and gets eaten by the unicorns. I was like, fuck yeah. So a lot of good kills in this movie.
There were. Ashleigh, would you like to go?
Your favorite kill?
Well, I would say the most satisfying was Shep because I hated him so much.
That's totally fair.
In the
I was honestly a little upset that he was the last.
Right?
I wanted him to be first because
I was surprised by that.
I was too.
But Lady Scientist was up there, but for me I think it might have been the skewering of Odell.
Also a solid kill. I mean, that was great.
Yeah, that one was a top one for me. But I'm not gonna lie, I think I like the fact that Belinda was being eaten, like her insides were being eaten on the pool table, and she was just still suffering.
And I think it's crazy that her own son wouldn't save her.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's that one, and the more entertaining kill was the guy's head just getting squished. That was probably my favorite for like graphic wise.
And that was one of the first too.
It was one of the first. And then I think my favorite just for the kind of symbolism and the imagery of it was Belinda with her insides getting eaten out.
Okay.
That sounded weird, but you know what I mean?
There were a lot of really good kills. That's
there were.
I'm like, honestly, I feel like
the kills in this movie were really great.
The kills.
And I feel like they were both graphic enough that you got that like gore satisfaction, but also not so graphic that it was, if someone like Violet watching with us, you know, she wasn't grossed out by anything.
Well, and it was kind of like campy gore.
It was,
you know, and it wasn't like some of the like gory films where they really like Saw or something where it's like this very slow, like it was fun. It was just the like kills were fun.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just felt like this. We'll get into that because I have some final thoughts. But
Susie has final thoughts.
Susie.
Old Sally O'Malley got some final thoughts. Okay, well, I'll hop into my final thoughts and we can all get in them.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the blend that this director was able to create with all the genres, but the thing is that this movie truly was like each genre, and I wouldn't exactly say it was blended. Okay, like so let me explain. So the fantasy aspects were very fantasy, but this wasn't a fantasy horror. There was also like this feeling of like, okay, there's fantasy happening and there is horror happening and there is thriller happening. You know,
it's all separate, very distinct
styles within the same movie. It's not like they went totally in a fantasy route or went totally in a horror route with some fantasy aspects. They were very distinct in how they were doing it. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree here, but
it was cool though because it was all still very complimentary. Like even though it wasn't blurry, it still blended well.
No, I agree.
That's fair.
I agree completely, and that's one of the things. That's what I'm saying. I really enjoyed how he was able to do that because at times you feel like, yeah, I'm watching a fantasy movie. This is great, and then you're like, oh fuck, that guy's head just exploded. That's literally not usual, you know, and you know, I feel like they were really able to take the unicorns and make them a creature feature. Yeah, and there was so much comedy in this movie, which we didn't really touch on because I feel like you can't really like explain the comedy.
It was a very dry,
so well
humor.
Balanced. It's all really well balanced.
Yes,
and it's so entertaining the way all of it kind of plays off of. The styles play off of one another.
Yes.
Yeah. I do feel like, and I talked about this a little bit before we started recording, the storyline of why Elliot was going to meet with his boss, it was a bit confusing for me. It was a bit convoluted. I was like, you're going on this weird weekend stay? Like, what exactly are you doing? I feel like they could have maybe made that a little bit easier to understand what was happening, but we got the gist of it. So, you know, I take that with a grain of salt.
That's fair.
And I do think, for me, and I know you don't feel the same, Sally, but for me, I think the directors did take, in some areas, too much inspiration from Jurassic Park. And it took me out of the movie at points, because I was like, this is Jurassic Park with unicorns, you know?
I think I was so enraptured by just the fact that...
Enraptured?
Oh my God! Good Lord. Yes, I was enraptured. Okay. Bye.
You loved it. You loved that accident.
I did. That was a happy little accident. Thank you, Bob Ross. But I think I was just so kind of struck by the portrayal of unicorns as this not only mythical being, but also a slightly evil being, because I feel like in fairy tales, it's always like, oh, the magical unicorn, and it brings all this good and all this blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And you never see that dark side. Mm-hmm. So to take something that is typically happy and lucky and beautiful and rainbows and make it dark was, to me, amazing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I didn't even think about the fact that there was any parallels to Jurassic Park until literally we were just talking about it. So, and I don't disagree. I just never thought about it.
Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about it in some parts. So I was like, fair. Man, these are dinosaurs. Like,
that's also fair. They probably are as old as dinosaurs.
Probably. Yeah. Now, I will say the CGI, I think they did a really good job with the adult unicorns.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the baby looked weird, and sometimes the baby looked cool. You know, I feel like the CGI on the baby was a little weird.
It was. Yeah, it was hit and miss.
But, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say I agree. I feel like when there were close-ups of, like, the baby's face, it was good. But when it was, like, more than half of the baby's body, it almost looked like kind of like a stuffed unicorn. Like,
yeah,
yeah,
not proportionally, like, true animal. I don't know.
It was a little off. But the adult unicorns looked fucking cool. Their horns were fucking cool. They were badass.
So cool.
They were something out of a nightmare, I have written in my notes. Ultimately, the satire, the comedy, timing, it was great. The kills were to die for. Pun intended.
Oh my god.
Knee slapper.
And I enjoyed this movie. I felt like it was something different. I feel like it was something different, so I liked it.
Really fun. I thought the cast was super solid. You know, I am honestly shocked. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised because, of course, I had heard that it didn't get great reviews, and so I was not expecting much. And I was like, I don't understand. Like, maybe, I mean, I'm not a movie critic. I respect that. I'm just a random person on a podcast, but
that's
like.
Fair.
I thought it was super fun and really entertaining.
I do not know how this movie got such low reviews. I think it deserved way more than that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I will say, I thought it was a very wonderful exploration of unicorn lore. Like what I touched on in the beginning of this whole conversation. Like, I just enjoyed the fact that I had this ideal from when I was a kid of like, Anne Frank unicorns and everything's lovely and rainbow.
I don't think they were Holocaust unicorns.
No, not the Anne Frank.
I don't know if I'm gonna recover from this.
I don't remember this part in the journal.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Babe.
Oh god.
I'm sorry, too dark.
It's the diary, first of all. Okay.
Anyway. I had this idea of Lisa Frank, but they take that and they twist it so lovely. It was a lovely twist. And also kept still the purity and like that wholesomeness of the unicorn, but showed that the unicorn doesn't take anybody's business. Like, they are protective of their own. And I liked that. I thought they were really fun action scenes. I thought those action sequences were really great. And I also, just because I'm me, loved the commentary on classism. And elite versus non-elite. That whole juxtaposition was just phenomenal in my opinion. And
Yeah, I remember one of, like, I think it was really, like, the introductory scene to meeting this family. They're talking about, like, basically vaccinating refugees or, like, you know, and just having this ridiculous conversation.
And they were getting the verbiage mixed up. They were miscommunicating. Oh, I feel like I wrote something about that. Oh, yeah. I wrote that the mom, Belinda, confused vaccinating versus evacuating.
Yes, that's what I had in my notes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, like, just, like, the level of just, oh, whatever they're doing out there. And then this, like,
nonchalant dismissal of it, like,
exactly.
as if, who cares, those things are, like...
They're one and the same, obviously.
Yeah, like, equivalent somehow.
Yeah. And, like, the whole time in the movie, you can tell that, like, Elliot, who's trying so hard to be part of this upper class type of people, he's not. No matter how hard he tries. They you know, are pretending like they are accepting him, but they aren't.
No, yeah.
All right, so that was some fun final thoughts.
Good Lord.
So final ratings of the movie. Ashley's favorite question.
Am I going? Does that mean I'm going first?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Rip the Band-Aid off. Okay. 4.63.
Nice. Okay. Had to get that 6.3 in there. I thought you were going to end at the 6 like a normal person.
Oh my God. Good Lord. That was incredible.
Solid.
Well, out of 5, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely out of 5. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, there were some moments where, I don't know, maybe it was just like almost too dry to where it seemed like the dialogue or the exchanges were off. Like I said, that was mostly kind of like getting into the movie to me felt a little rocky. Like I feel like
that's fair.
I'd agree.
That opening into the movie could have been better. Like that airplane scene. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I get what they were conveying. And
it was a little awkward.
You know, they were kind of laying some foundation for the father-daughter relationship. But to me, I felt like that was lacking. And I was like, I remember when I was watching, I was like, oh, I see why this movie got this rating. Now, it got way better.
Right.
But
it didn't deserve the rating once you got past that first scene.
Yeah, like, but I feel like that was, compared to the rest of the movie, that was weak.
That's fair.
But otherwise, so entertaining. Really liked it. Like I said, typically I'm pretty strict with like what I let the kids watch. You know, they're in their tweendom here. Well, one's in their teendom. And this was, you know, yes, it was gory, but it was, again, campy. It was fun. There was some shock value, but it wasn't like torturous or anything. And then it was just, it was really well balanced, like you said, with so many different styles that it checked a lot of boxes for me.
Nice. Yeah, I gave this movie a 4.5. Actually,
wow,
that's the closest we've ever been.
It might be. I don't actually recall, but I gave it a 4.5 because I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, I did think that beginning part, similar to you, a little convoluted, not done the best in my opinion. I feel like I could watch this movie again and still enjoy it, you know? Still pick up some fun things. Really, the kills were awesome. But yeah, I think it does lose some points there just for the beginning. The beginning kind of was a little bit of a rough start, but all in all, really fun movie, pretty easy, campy watch, and it's just really entertaining. Salita.
Susie Q.
Sally O'Malley.
Okay.
Are you doing fucking math over there on your phone?
I was
What's
doing
happening?
math on my phone because I was gonna.
She's trying to figure out her starage over there.
I was gonna split the difference between the two of y'all, and the average of y'all's two ratings is a 4.565. Okay. So now we're going even deeper than Ashleigh. So. So I would agree with Jesse. I would give it about a 4.5, 4.75, something along there. Because I just thought it was really great. Honestly, so this is, Kai and I love A24. I don't think there's ever been a movie by them that we have not both enjoyed greatly. But I did like the play on the lore. Mm-hmm. I liked the action scenes. And I liked the overall story of the arc of, you know, the father-daughter being very, very strained, very stressed at the beginning, and then that resolution at the end where they have come together and they're like, you know, we really need each other. We really need to come together for your mom, for your mom's memory. We didn't really touch on those things in our long dialogue, but you know, they do touch on, you know, the influence of the mom, and the mom was very wholesome. She was very down to earth. She was very progressive. And so just that interplay between the two of them, I thought was really great. And I also low-key just love the commentary on classism.
Yeah. So
because at heart,
like
that's just me.
We all feel very similarly, which we did like with long legs too.
We did.
We all like voted very similar.
What was your rating? You averaged ours. Did you actually give your rating?
4.5/4.75.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. This is gonna be one to edit.
Yep. Yeah, I will.
I'm gonna save all the weird shit that we said and like put it in the end.
I like
blooper reels. Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna do that.
There's a lot of those.
I'm glad. Even there was points too when we were recording where we just paused it and we were still doing a whole bunch of shit that y'all don't even know about. Correct. But I think Anne Frank is my favorite.
Oh my God.
God, I'm so embarrassed.
We love you.
I'm so
Susie.
embarrassed.
The best. Don't be embarrassed.
Sally, thank you for... I think you're the one who put us on this movie as well.
This is true. This was one that I had been wanting to watch since it came out in theaters.
Not gonna lie. I was like, why does she want to watch that?
Literally, yeah, you kind of see the trailer. If anyone has not seen the trailer, you need to watch the trailer, because the trailer doesn't give you much, but it's enough to be like, what the fuck is this movie about? To the point where I was like, I gotta watch this.
Did we watch the trailer?
I did, but I don't know if you did.
I don't think I did. I should watch it.
Yeah, you definitely should.
I watched it at the club.
At the club?
Yeah, because we were at the club and we were talking about movies, and you were like, oh, we should watch this movie, and that's when I first wrote it down. It was a long while back.
That was a long while back.
That was a long while
Yeah. But no, it was a lot of fun. Thank you again, Sally. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, to the viewers or listeners, let us know if you watch this movie, what you think. And then also, are you liking the show? If so, subscribing, reviewing, or sharing really helps us out at Blood and Ink. It helps us grow more than you know, and it only takes a second. So go ahead and do that, and thank you for being part of our crew. But otherwise, that is all we have for today. So
Susie Q signing off.
Ashleigh Cash Money signing off over there.
Yeah.
And this is JC Nollen signing off.
I'm just saying.
No, I agree.
It's like lesbians U-hauling. Like, go way too fast, too hard, and then you burn out so fast. Charlie and the Candy Factory. Come to the Candy Mountain, Charlie.
I don't know how we got here, but...
Someone just randomly texted me, "Hi, what are you doing now?" Who are you? I don't have your number saved.
The world's just crumbling around us while we're recording this.
As soon as we decide
this is our dedication to you, the listener.
Now, I do need to take a bathroom break because I have been drinking, but do you guys want to... You can film or record a fake commercial or something.
Blender bottles.
So no
shake your protein, brosif.
So no to the fake commercial. We're just going to pause.